Hey everyone, it's Mari. I have a card making process here for you today. I'm going to start off by adding some Nuvo Glimmer paste in Moonstone to my card base using this little star stencil. And I have kind of a star theme with my sentiment on this card, so that's why I chose the star stencil. And I'm just going around the edges of the card base with the stencil because I'm going to be putting some things in the center of that card, so I really am only interested in having the stars show around the edge. And you'll also see me here in a minute showing you a couple of the stencils and some pieces that I created with the stencils. I'm going to be using the My Favorite Things stitched rectangular scallop edge frame and the Lawn Fawn large dotted rectangle for my card today, and I'm going to use those two dies to create parts of the base for the little image that I stamp on my card. So you can just see that the frame, the scallop edge frame, what I did was I just went onto my piece of cardstock here and I just measured, or I just made a little tick mark with my pencil to show on that the piece of white cardstock there where the inside of the frame is going to be. And now I'm going to take some Peacock Feathers Distress ink and I'm going to create a little bit of color on this base for where my image is going to go. So I'm going to just take some Post-it tape and I'm going to tape off the area that I've got measured off with my pencil marks, and that way I won't get any of my peacock feathers where I don't want it to be. So I'm just going to tape that off quickly and then go in with my distress tool and I'm going to add some of that ink on there. I'll just do this quickly. I stamped out, I cut this piece of cardstock that I'm taping down here with some Bristol Smooth cardstock. And I really like the Strathmore Bristol Smooth for using the distress ink on. It just blends really nicely on this paper. And so I'm just going to be just blending on that distress ink using this tool onto that Bristol Smooth paper. And you'll be able to see here, it just blends on there so nicely. And it's not blotchy or anything like that. It just goes on nice and smooth and even. And I'm actually wanting the top of it to be darker than down at the bottom. And I'm going to kind of create a grassy area at the bottom of this little piece where I'm going to be creating a little scene for my card front. So I'm just going to remove that Post-it tape, and I will reuse that Post-it tape, by the way. So I usually just stick it over to the side while I'm still working on my project. And then when I'm cleaning up, I'll take that tape and I'll put it back on the roll so that I can reuse it. Now these are just some little Lawn Fawn grassy hillside borders dies, and I'm going to take one of those dies and I'm going to cut some grass from the 6x6 watercolor wishes paper from Lawn Fawn. And that little scallop frame, by the way, is from the 6x6 perfectly plaid rainbow paper from Lawn Fawn. And it's all just really, really pretty paper. And it was in a recent release from Lawn Fawn. This is a really sweet little Mama Elephant stamp set called Shooting Star. And I absolutely love the set. And the little girl image that I'm going to be using here is from that set. And I'm going to stamp it with some My Favorite Things hybrid ink in black. And I chose this ink because I am going to be doing some Copic coloring of my little image here. And that's the process that you'll see next. So I'm going to start out by coloring in the girl's face, and I'm going to be using E51 and E53 for her face. This is really, really simple Copic coloring. I am not a master of Copic markers. I really love using them. I find them fairly easy to use, but I don't do anything really super complicated with them. So I'm just only using these two colors. I started with my lightest color, then I went in and shaded with the darker, and then I blended it out. I'm just taking a little bit of R20 and I'm just tapping some of that in on her cheek area there. And now I'm just going in with, I believe this is Y11, to create some color for her hair. So I want to kind of create the impression of kind of like a yellowy orange or a little bit of a blondish redhead here. And so I'm starting out with the yellow, and then I'm going in with YR12. And with the YR12, I'm just going to create a hint of a little more color there in her hair, and you'll just see me blending that out with the yellow again. So I'm just going to go back and forth between that YR color and the Y color, the Y11 and the YR12, just back and forth a little bit here, just blending them out and creating the lighter color at the tips of her hair there. And just doing the same thing for the hair up at the top, and just quickly chopping in some color there to create a little bit of detail for this little girl's hair. And I'm going to use, for her little bow, I'm going to use some R20 and some R22. And then for her little dress, I'm going to use BG10 and BG15. I'm just going to color her dress in here quickly. And then I'll do some of the other little detail areas to finish up the Copic coloring. Just gonna color that in quickly. I don't know what is your favorite thing to color with when you're creating your cards. I really do love Copic colors, but there's so many things now, right, that you can use. I do really love to use my Prismacolors, and I also really love to use my Zig Clean Color markers too, so there's lots of different options. I have created a card class over at Big Picture Classes if you're interested in checking that out. It is called Crazy Cards for Kids, and it was just up for preview this week on the Big Picture Classes site. And I believe the class goes live this Monday, so make sure you check that out over at Big Picture Classes and check out that class. It does have lots of really fun interactive cards and lots of techniques that you can use on any cards, not just cards for children, but that is the focus for the class, is creating cards for kids. So I think it's a lot of fun, and I know I sure had a lot of fun creating it. Now I'm just going to take some of my Tombow Mono, and I'm going to use that to stick this little area, this piece of cardstock down. I did actually want to use a fair bit of glue on here just because I wanted to make sure that that would stick to that glimmer paste if it was touching up against it. And just going to get that stuck down there, and then I'll start to create my little scene on this front piece here. So I'll just put my frame down. I want to stick the grass to that frame. Now I've actually cut 2 chunks of grass. I want to leave one piece sort of in the front and then one in the back. And then I'm going to put my little girl in between those 2 pieces of grass so that it looks like she's kind of standing in a field of long grass or something like that. So just get that stuck down again too with my Tombow Mono. I really love this glue because it has a little bit of open time. When you put the glue down, you still have a little bit of time to work with it before it's stuck. So you can slide things around a little bit and manipulate it before it is too late. And I'm going to use that same glue then to just stick this frame down as well. Get just a tiny little bead of that glue on here. And I didn't want too much of the peacock feathers on there, and you can see that there's just enough just to give a hint of a sky above the grass area. And I like how it's got a little bit of an ombre effect there so that it's darker at the top and then it gets lighter towards the grass. And I'm going to just put my little girl in there. Now I have a little bit of trouble sticking her in there, so I'm just going to grab my tweezers and just pick the edge of that grass up a little bit so that I can get her between those 2 layers. Now, I like how that looks, and I've decided that I'm not going to put any adhesive on the lower portion of her. I'm actually going to just take a piece of foam adhesive and put it right behind her head so that it kind of makes just her head pop up a little bit, and then she's stuck there. She won't move. I decided for a sentiment for this card that I wanted to take a My Favorite Thing stitch sentiment strip and stamp the sentiment, or for the sentiment for the front of the card on that strip. So I just took my peacock feathers and I just went around the edges of the strip. I'm just showing you that die set there. I haven't separated them because when I die cut one, I like to die cut all 3. And then what I do is I take the extras and I just put them in a little container on my desk. And then anytime I need a sentiment strip, I have a bunch cut. So I'm just going to take the little sentiment stamp that says I love you on it. And I'm going to just take, I thought about using the stars, the little strip of stars in the stamp set as my ellipsis point, but I felt like there was too many there. So an ellipsis point usually only has 3 periods in it, or 3 dots. And so I'll just take and create that with my pen. And then that, of course, indicates that there's something more inside the card. So I love you, dot, dot, dot. And then I'm going to put the rest of the sentiment inside. Now, I don't have the card in front of me, but I think it says to the stars and back or something like that. It's super cute. I love this stamp set. It's so adorable. It has a lot of really cute little sentiments in it, and a lot of little star images as well that go with it. So it is super adorable. So I also decided that I wanted to stamp the little shooting star image that's part of the set as well. I actually didn't stamp super well, so I end up off camera just taking my fine black pen and just going over the star a little bit, and that fixes it up perfectly. So my card is just about finished. I'm going to stick that sentiment strip down, and then what I want to do is I want to take just a few little sequins, and I'm going to add some little sequin detail on as well. The sequins that I'm going to use are from, let me think, Little Things from Lucy's cards, and they're the Twinkle Light sequins. And I'm going to add those right away here. Just taking a little bit of Wink of Stella and adding some shine to her little bow in her hair and her little purse, just a few of the little details. And I'm taking my white Jelly Roll pen and I'm adding some little polka dots to her little outfit that she's wearing and the little bow in her hair. I end up adding some white polka dots to that as well. And now I'm just going to put those sequins on there, and the card is basically going to be finished, guys. So thanks so much for stopping by my channel today and checking out my card process. I have a lot of fun making cards. I do not buy any cards that I give. I make all of my own greeting cards, and I have for many, many years, and I really enjoy it. And I'm really happy to share my process with you. So thanks so much for stopping by. And thanks again for thinking about checking out my class over at Big Picture Classes, Crazy Cards for Kids. Thanks so much, and I'll see you again, guys. Bye-bye.